Hello everybody, my name is Lee Woodward. I'm CEO of Skyborne Aviation Limited, and I'm going to be over the next 25-30 minutes taking you through the IndiGo Cadet Pilot Program as far as Skyborne is concerned. This is a virtual seminar and replaces what we would have been doing in Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad and Bangalore over the next couple of weeks. But owing to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were unable to do that. So we thought we'd bring it to you via a virtual platform. So going forward then, a little bit of information about myself, and then I'll give you more information about the company, a background on Skyborne, bit of an industry update as well, so we can take a snapshot of where the whole airline industry is at the moment, and obviously more information about the training program, our selection process and our funding and finance. But before I do, I'm going to show you a short corporate video on Skyborne.
Golf Sierra Echo Hotel Kilo, Gloucester Tower, pass your message. Golf Sierra Echo Hotel Kilo, request taxi for Minutes Ground on Alpha 1.
When you meet our trainees, they're all different, but there is a certain quality that joins them all, and for me it's identifiable around professionalism. Anybody coming to Skyborne as a trainee, the things I'd like them to really pick up on immediately is that we've invested significantly in great facilities, that those facilities have been really well thought through, so the user experience is excellent. The main programs we run in Skyborne are full-time integrated ATPL courses. We also offer some modular courses. We're doing quite a bit of work at the moment with pilots who are transitioning from the military into commercial airline flying. We also run what we call APS MCC, Airline Pilot Standard Multi-Crew Cooperation Training. It's an advanced multi-crew cooperation course. We're building a fantastic team here. I like to describe it as we have the best in class in almost every area of training. And what particularly drew us to Gloucester, geographically it's in an excellent location. There are many international airports within 35-45 minutes flight time, but also the airfield itself. It's been voted the UK's best general aviation airport for the last 4 or 5 years running. It's an excellent spot.
Okay, moving into the next part of the presentation, a little bit more information about the company. So, who is Skyborne? Well, Skyborne was formed in 2016, a brand new flight training organisation, but with very experienced people at the helm. There are 3 directors in the business, myself as CEO, Tom Misner as chairman, and Ian Cooper as chief operating officer. The company is wholly owned by the 3 of us. We have no institutional investment. We're all the shareholders of the business, and as you can see, Tom Misner's background is not from the world of aviation. He's actually from the world of music. He was the founder, creator of a very large music education organisation called Sound Audio Engineering Group. If you want to look that up, it's SAE Group. Myself, Lee Woodward, ex-cadet pilot. I went through the British Airways Cadet Pilot Program in 1989 and graduated in 1990 and stayed with British Airways all the way through to 2003. During that period I flew Boeing 757s, 767s and 747-400s and became a trainer and an examiner on the 757-767 fleet, which I still am today. I left British Airways in 2003 to join CTC Aviation Group, which grew to be one of the largest training organisations in the world, and left that company to form Skyborne in 2016. The other director in the company, Ian Cooper, he's also ex-British Airways. He's a training captain on the Airbus A320, was also general manager of flight operations for Oxford, and then latterly CAE's global flight training school. And then obviously he went on from there to Airways Aviation in the UK, and then joined Skyborne at its inception in 2016. Moving on. So our headquarters are based in the United Kingdom at Gloucestershire Airport, which is down towards the southwest of the UK. Here we have almost 30,000 square feet of offices and hangars. It's a brand new facility. It doubles up as the head office, but it's also the training school as well for our EASA and UK CAA programs, and more to come on that shortly. We fly a combination of Diamond DA40 single engine Garmin 1000 equipped, FADEC equipped aeroplanes, and the same equivalent on the DA42 for the twin, again Garmin 1000 FADEC equipped. We have DA42 flight simulators to support the operation, and also 737 MAX simulators for our jet orientation training course. All of our classrooms are wireless equipped. We use iPad technology throughout the building, and all of our ground school training is delivered via a combination of self-study using the iPads, computer-based training, and also tutor-led instruction, of course. So more about the company then. These are our company values, and it's very important to us that we build trust both from our trainees and from our airlines. It's basically the platform of success of any training organisation, is that the pilots can trust that we will deliver the very best training to them, and the airlines will trust that we will deliver to them the very best pilots, and that's our goal. It's pretty simple. We're also looking to build careers, because everybody in Skyborne is headed to an airline. All of the pilots in our organisation have gone through selection, and the sole intent of actually moving into the right-hand seat of a commercial airliner with one of our partner airlines. In addition to that, we think we build a better product. We're very innovative in the way we go about our training, and there's more to come on that in a moment. And we like to think about developing the character of our cadet pilots. So pilot training is much more than just knowledge and skill. There's also a great deal of development of attitude that goes into it also. And as I've already mentioned, we have a very innovative approach to our training, which I will cover in more detail in a moment. Delivering excellence is what we're all about in Skyborne. So it's not just an aspiration, it's something that we set out to achieve, and we make sure that we achieve it at every stage. Basically, there's a lot of words on the screen, but just picking out some of the key aspects. To be able to get to excellence, we obviously have to have a very robust selection process, which of course we do. We provide really high quality equipment and facilities, and particularly in the United States, really high quality living accommodation for the IndiGo program. All of the staff, all of the instructors within Skyborne are handpicked for their reputation and for their experience. So even though, as I've already mentioned, we're a relatively new company, we are steeped with expertise at every level and in every department in the organisation. Moving on now to an industry update, and obviously this is quite topical with what's happening in the world right now. This slide you may have seen already. There's a very similar slide from Boeing and from Airbus, primarily showing you that over a period from 1982 projecting forward to around 2032, we will have seen a growth in aircraft passenger numbers from around 6,000 to 36,000 over that period, which is absolutely immense. And we're talking about airliners here, Part 121 operators. We're not talking about light aircraft or even business jets. These are airliners. And so 30,000 aircraft over that period translates to an awful lot of pilots. Most airlines work on a ratio of around 14 to 15 pilots per aeroplane when you consider first officers and captains, and that's how we generate these enormous numbers. It's estimated by Boeing and Airbus that we're going to need around 550,000 pilots from between now and through to around 2032, 2034. And even if you say that's exaggerated by a factor of 2, it's still an enormous number. This is a particularly pertinent slide and relevant to what we're experiencing at the moment with the COVID-19 situation. What this slide shows here is various what we call global shocks that really go on to explain the resilience of air travel over a period from, let's say, the early 1970s through to today. We've had global shocks such as the 2 oil crises in the 1970s. We've had the Gulf War in 1989-90 period. We then move on to 9/11 terror attacks and SARS, and eventually the global financial crisis in 2008-9. All of these global shocks had massive effects on the global economy at the time. They had short-term effects on aviation, but as you can see, the general trend in aviation through that period has been significant growth. In fact, 85% growth since the 9/11 terror attacks in 2001. Now we know the current COVID-19 is probably deeper and more damaging than any one of those effects. Some argue more than all of those effects put together, but it's my belief that we're in a resilient industry and it will bounce back and it will return. And those of you interested in going to IndiGo, well, of course, it is the world's fastest growing low-cost airline, so you've chosen the right airline to go to. They are also an extremely resilient airline within a resilient business. Okay, so let's take a look at the training program itself now in a little bit more detail. There's a cycle of events that starts with selection. So having got through the selection process, which we will review in more detail in a few minutes, and completed all of the selection with both Skyborne and the airline, you'll commence your DGCA written exams, your theoretical knowledge training. For those of you who might already have that qualification, you can fast track straight into the flight training. But let's assume at the moment that nobody has that qualification. You would do the DGCA CPL theory with our partner Albatross in Delhi, and having completed that, which takes around 3 to 4 months, you would then leave India and head to the United States to commence your flight training in the United States at Westwind. It takes about 1 year to do the FAA 141 CPL and IR, and also we do an additional month of the multi-engine training as well. It's a course which has been specifically designed by Skyborne to meet both the FAA 141 requirements and also the requirements of the DGCA back in India. Having completed the training in America, it's back to India for the flight license conversion process, approximately 10 hours of further flying in India. Takes about 1 month to complete when you think about the small additional ground school training as well. And then finally the MCC A320 course. Currently this is planned to be done in Abu Dhabi with Etihad, but also, as I'll explain towards the end of this presentation, we may be doing some of that type rating training in our facility in the UK. Following that, you then commence your line training with IndiGo. And that whole period takes about 2 years. 2 years, maybe a little bit longer with the line training period. Okay, a lot of words on the screen. I'll just summarize. Vertically integrated and airline focused training is a philosophy that runs right through Skyborne. It means that when you start your flight training, although you're flying a small aircraft, a light aircraft, we train you technically as if you were flying a large aeroplane. So you begin to employ the big aircraft techniques right from the get-go. But also we're developing your knowledge and we're constantly reminding you and linking back to airline operations. And also, most importantly, we're developing you as a professional. So we're developing your attitude and your professionalism towards commercial airline operations. A little bit about Westwind then. So this is our training partner in Deer Valley, Phoenix, Arizona. As I say, we have designed the course within Skyborne and worked with the Westwind team to deliver that to you. However, we don't just outsource that training. All of the Westwind instructors have been through a standardization training program led by myself and Ian Cooper, and we also have full-time staff based at Westwind, so that we constantly are involved in your training all of the time. We have Skype meetings on a weekly basis, and at least myself or Ian will be out to the training centre roughly every 6 weeks. And as I say, we have full-time staff, so oversight of your training is continuous. We use Cessna 172s initially on the round dial, but very quickly progressing onto the G1000 equipped aircraft. Westwind itself, you can do the research on their website, you'll find a lot of information, but the most important points I want to bring to you is that we chose Westwind as a training partner because we believe that their outlook, their philosophy is very, very closely aligned to that of ours. A smaller family-run business, but still with significant training pedigree. And we reckon we found the perfect partner in Westwind. Company was founded by Ron Hara in 1985, and Ron is still at the helm today. The location then, Deer Valley, for those of you who don't know, it's to the north of Phoenix. It's right at the northern tip of Phoenix. It's a municipal airport there, quite a large airport, where there are really 2 large flight schools, of which Westwind is one. Westwind currently has around 300 trainees, all told, going through the organisation. You might also have heard that recently Westwind's been acquired by United Airlines, but as far as we're concerned and they're concerned, and the airline, it's business as usual. And finally, the accommodation. All accommodation is held at a place called Aspire Pinnacle Peak, which is around 6 or 7 minutes drive on the shuttle bus, which we operate throughout the day from the training centre to the accommodation and back. All cadets are housed in these wonderful apartments. They're 2-bedroom apartments, and in each bedroom is a twin bedroom. So in other words, 4 people in each apartment. The bedrooms are en suite. They have a terrific kitchen, significant lounge area, beautifully appointed balcony, really, really nice. And in addition to that, you will also find amazing facilities, a state-of-the-art gym, a wonderful cinema, and a really great communal area where breakfast is served on Mondays to Fridays. In addition to that, you'll see in the picture here, there's a lovely swimming pool complex outside. Now, right now, under the COVID-19 restrictions, the communal areas, the cinema, the gym, etc. is off limits. But clearly, once things return back to normal, then all of that will return back to normal also. So we've got approximately 68 cadets, Westwind at the moment, and we have a similar number backing up to start. And once the restrictions, COVID-19 restrictions are lifted, our aim is to recommence the training immediately. I regularly go out, as I say, maybe every 6 to 7 weeks and meet with the cadets, a terrific bunch of individuals. I'm always amazed at the attitude, the professionalism, and it's really heartening to see, and tells me that the team, led by Althea Paul in India, are doing a terrific job when it comes to selection. Okay, talking about selection, let's run through the selection process, give you some further and deeper insight into what we're looking for. So the process starts with an online application. You head to the Skyborne website, find IndiGo, so skyborne.com/IndiGo. You'll see the program. All the information you need about IndiGo, the IndiGo Cadet program is there, and you can also apply from that point. Go through the application, submit it. Our team will turn it around within 48 hours, and then we'll come back to you and tell you whether or not you've met the initial baseline criteria for the program. If you have met it, you'll be informed, and then you'll be invited to complete a series of tests. These are web-based online tests which we look at your psychometrics and your aptitude. Following the test, then you'll be invited into a location in Delhi to complete some further screening processes in the form of group exercises, discussions and interviews, and then eventually, having got through that rigorous suite of tests, those of you that have been successful will be invited to attend a selection process that is then led by the airline, and this will be done on a separate day. So just to recap, it's an online application, some web-based screening in the form of psychometrics and aptitude testing. We then get you in to our facility in Delhi, and then those of you who pass all of that will be invited then to attend a second wave of selection with the airline itself. Having completed that, if you're successful, you'll be offered a letter of intent from the airline, which is effectively a conditional letter of employment, and that really is the green light for you to commence training. So what are we looking for our IndiGo cadets? These are the core competencies that we are looking for throughout the whole of the screening process, and these competencies are also aligned with those of IndiGo's. So no surprise, motivation. We're looking for highly motivated individuals, and we'll be testing why you want to come into the program and why you want to be an IndiGo First Officer. We're looking for people who have and set themselves high standards. A strong sense of responsibility is key, and also good communication skills. You will learn throughout your training and your entire career that communication skills on the flight deck good communication skills are imperative to ensure flight safety. Team skills. We want team players. When you're an airline pilot, you're not just two people on the flight deck, you're part of a huge team. There could be 5 or 6 or 7 cabin crew behind you, but when you dispatch an aeroplane, you'll be working with the engineers, the ground staff, etc., etc. So good team skills are essential. We want people with high levels of integrity, honesty, the ability to put your hand up and actually say, hey, I made a mistake, or hey, I need some help. So, high levels of integrity are critical. And today's airline pilot is more than just someone who flies the aeroplane. We want to see people with good business awareness, because nowadays as a crew, as a flight crew, yourself and the captain, you're responsible for taking decisions that will ultimately have financial consequences as well as safety consequences. And so understanding the business, how it operates, and the ramifications of any of your decision making is very, very important. And finally, we want to probe your resilience. It's very, very important that all trainees are resilient, that they're able to cope with setback. Just look at what's happening now with the COVID-19. We've been in constant communication with the cadets out in Westwind, out in Deer Valley, and I just can't tell you how proud of them I am, how they've responded to the challenges over COVID-19. And that is really testing their mettle. Eventually they'll go back to flight training, but to get through this period, they're demonstrating that resilience. So it does show that the selection process works. Okay, the final section then now of my presentation, finance and funding. It's very difficult to read on the screen here, but this is a direct copy of a PDF document that is on the website. So I've deliberately cut and paste and put it on this slide. It's very important that you go onto the website, onto Skyborne's website, into the IndiGo program and read all of the information. But please download the PDF document, which also reiterates some of the points that are held in the main body of the website, but most importantly shows the detail of the finance and funding. So I'm not going to go through each step here because it's too detailed, but what I would say is once you've had a look at the document, then any questions, just email into indigo@skyborne.com and our team will pick that up. It's a very comprehensive 2-page finance section, and it shows exactly what's included and excluded, so there's no grey area, there are no hidden costs, hidden fees. or anything that will surprise you down the line. All I would say is, in general terms, is we try to be as transparent as possible, and we try to include as many things as possible in the pricing. And finally, when you're making price comparisons between Skyborne and other organisations, you have to bear in mind that we're probably offering, and we are offering, a very different product to most of our competitors. There is over 240 hours of flying in this program, plus simulator. And then on top of that, you have the jet orientation training and the type rating. It's in the United States. We include the flights back and forth to the United States. We include the flights out to Abu Dhabi for the type rating if necessary. The accommodation is absolutely incredible. And so when you're making a comparison, all I would urge you to do is please compare apples with apples. And more on the document with particular reference about medical requirements, both FAA and DGCA. So as I say, I don't intend to go into it in detail. It's a big document. It's on the website. It's updated constantly, and it's very comprehensive. So we're almost there. I've almost finished my presentation. I'm just going to wrap up with one final point that I alluded to at the start of the program. It's our intention in Skyborne, once the restrictions are lifted globally, that is in India, the UK and the United States, and we can get back to business as usual. We have a backlog of candidates who want to come into the program, and we want to open our doors to them immediately. And so one of the initiatives that we're going to be showcasing is the ability to do the training program that you've already seen through the United States, but in addition to that, offer an alternative training program that comes through the UK. So in other words, the Skyborne IndiGo Cadet program will have dual pathways. One that goes through the United States, where you do an FAA 141 license, or one through the UK, where you'll get a UK CAA multi-engine commercial license, commercial pilot's license. So you can apply and choose whichever one. They're both going to be the same price. They're both going to be the same length of time. They'll both give you very similar user experiences, and then you will return back to India for the flight license conversion and carry on. So there's a lot more to come on that in the next few weeks. We're going to be rolling that out and announcing it, but this is just a bit of a heads up whilst we're doing this seminar. Anyway, thank you very much. That brings this seminar to a close, and please email any questions that you might have to the team. Thank you.